How did you become a millionaire? I was 23, making $12 an hour answering angry phone calls for TechFlow, this company that made smart home stuff. You know those doorbell cameras and smart locks everyone has now? Yeah, we made the crappy versions that barely worked. Every day was the same nightmare. Ring ring, some pissed off customer screaming because their smart thermostat was heating their house to 90 degrees in July, or their garage door opened by itself at 3 a.m. I'd apologize for 8 hours straight, read from the same boring script, and go home feeling dead inside. My cubicle was right next to the break room, so I heard everything. The engineers upstairs made six figures and acted like customer service didn't exist. They'd joke about how users are too stupid to read instructions, while I dealt with actual people whose lives got messed up by their broken products. Then Dana called. She was grocery shopping when her smart lock glitched and locked her 2-year-old son inside the house. She couldn't get back in through the app, the backup code didn't work, nothing. She had to smash her own window while her baby cried inside. By the time she got in, her dog had destroyed half the living room from panic. I started my usual apology speech, but then I stopped. Something about how scared she sounded made me actually care. Instead of reading the script, I asked, "Can you walk me through exactly what happened? Like every detail?" We talked for over an hour. She told me about the terrible app design, how the emergency override never worked, how she'd complained 3 times before but nobody listened. I took notes on everything. Real notes, not just the stupid incident report. That night I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if that was my kid locked inside? What if the house caught fire and the smart lock wouldn't open? I started doing something totally against company policy. When angry customers called, instead of rushing them off the phone, I'd ask for details. Tell me what went wrong. How did it happen? What would have helped? After a month, I had a notebook full of problems. Customers wanted local backup systems that worked even when Wi-Fi died. They wanted facial recognition for emergencies. They wanted simple recovery codes that actually worked. During lunch breaks, I taught myself basic coding through YouTube videos. Nights and weekends, I built wireframes for an app that could control smart home devices locally, without depending on company servers that always crashed. I called it SafeNest. It wasn't trying to replace the main apps, just be a backup for when everything went wrong. Local control, emergency overrides, stuff that actually mattered when your life depended on getting inside your house. My coworker Jake in tech support knew some programming, so I showed him my sketches. He thought I was crazy at first, but then his mom got locked out of her house during a thunderstorm. Suddenly, he was interested. We spent 3 months building a basic prototype. Nothing fancy, just proof it could work. I was surviving on energy drinks and like 4 hours of sleep, but I'd never felt more alive. I posted about it anonymously on Reddit, just asking if people thought it was useful. The post exploded. Thousands of upvotes, comments from people sharing their own smart home horror stories. Then my inbox started filling up with messages from investors. Some VC guy offered me $250,000 for 10% of the company. I didn't even have a real company yet, just an app that barely worked, and a dream of not getting screamed at by customers anymore. I quit TechFlow 2 weeks later. My manager laughed and said I'd be back begging for my job within 6 months. The engineers upstairs didn't even notice I was gone. The next 2 years were hell. 16-hour days, living on ramen, getting rejected by investors who thought the idea was too simple. But slowly, real estate companies started using SafeNest for their smart buildings. Property managers loved having reliable backup systems. Then Amazon called. They wanted to license SafeNest technology for their smart locks. Not buy the company, just use our emergency systems. The contract was worth 8 figures. 3 years after that phone call with Dana, I had $12 million in the bank and a team of 50 people. We never tried to compete with the big companies. We just made their products actually work when people needed them most.